I'm Horn7 and today is day 76 of reading every single DC comic. We do this by reading 10 comics a day. This will last about 18 years by my calculations, so let's just jump right into today's 10 comics. Starting with More Fun Comics number 80. So this is I'm going to be talking about specifically the Spectre here, because I only talk about the comics that I feel are worth talking about. So this is the Spectre. That's who I'm talking about right now. Jim and Clarice. Jim is a Spectre and Clarice is his girlfriend. They go to a color orchestra and Percival follows them. A color orchestra, at least in this comic, I don't know if it's a real thing, but it's an orchestra where when they play the instruments, there's a big screen and colors appear on it and they're based on the music or something like that. I don't really understand it. And Percival, the super cop, is kind of like just a Jim Kerrigan fanboy because Jim is a cop. And Percival just kind of follows him around and tries to be helpful but fails. The color on the screen turns red, and everyone becomes angry. Jim, who is unaffected by the color, becomes the Spectre and stops the orchestra, bringing everyone out of their trance. And the orchestral guy is arrested, but he just showed a color on a screen, right? Like, you can't assume he knew that was going to happen. You can't, assume... I feel like it would be hard to arrest him for that, right? I feel like it would be a little deeper than just, hey, you clearly did this on purpose. Why did you put those evil colors on the screen? I feel like there would be a bigger thing around this. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is very clear laws around musical colors, and I'm just stupid. Anyways, turns out this all happened due to the Color King, who can mind control people using colors somehow. This is never explained. I know colors have some, effect on your emotions or something. I know, looking at red makes you angry or something. It doesn't actually make you angry, but it makes that emotion sort of spark up, I guess. I don't know. I think there's some science around that, but I don't think it's to the point where you can mind control someone with color. I don't think it's anywhere near that point, really. But, what do I know, right? I'm not a color scientist. Anyways, Color King decides he's going to attack a charity function next. The same charity function that night that Jim, Clarice, and Percival are attending. At the charity function, some guy named Hal, who works in animation, flirts with Clarice, and she rejects him, of course, because she's in love with Jim. Hal invites Percival to come into a studio and make an audition tape or something. And Percival agrees, because Percival's stupid, and he's like, okay, I can't wait to be in the movies. So Jim tags along to Percival's audition, even though he doesn't really want to, which is confusing to me. Because, I'll explain why it's confusing to me in a second, because I don't want to spoil this big twist that's about to come on. So, while Percival is reading his lines to the camera, and, doing his audition, or whatever, Hal invites Jim to take a walk with him. And then they fall into a big pit in the floor. The floor falls away, and there's a very deep pit that you would die if you hit the bottom. And Hal manages to grab onto the ledge and survive, but Jim falls. Oh no, he's going to fall to his death. The Spectre, who's really Jim, and he's projecting himself, saves him. So he has that excuse. Nobody questions, by the way, why there's a studio in the middle of the floor. I get it's why there's a pit in the middle of the floor in a studio. I get that it's a movie studio, right? They have props and stuff, but also, there's a big pit in the middle of the studio, right? Surely Jim would question that a little bit, especially considering he's a detective. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a detective. I don't know. Anyways, Jim, Clarice, and Percival go to a movie that night. Hal invited them to the movie. But the movie is interrupted by a color that puts everyone in the theater to sleep, which I know is not possible. I'm almost certain of it, because I've never seen a color that makes me fall asleep. So, clearly it can't be possible. If you haven't seen it, it can't exist. Anyways, the movie... Yeah, right, I said that already. Before the Color King, and then the Color King and his thugs arrive. Hal, by the way, is nowhere to be seen. He was not part of the movie. He invited them to it, but he's not watching it. So, the Color King and his thugs wake up Jim and tie him up, and reveal the Color King is secretly Hal. Whoa! And he's doing all this so he can kill Jim and marry Clarice. Now I have a question before I finish this story. Hal tried to kill Jim with the pit, right? His intention was to kill Jim. Clearly, he had to have that plan out beforehand, because he knew where the pit was. He knew it would fall away. He knew to grab the ledge. So clearly, he had this planned out. But he invited Percival Not Jim. Jim was not invited. Jim just tagged along because Percival asked him to. And Hal doesn't know Jim and Percival, right? He likes Clarice. He's attracted to Clarice. But he doesn't know Jim and Percival. He definitely doesn't know Percival. So I'm just confused on how he knew Jim would tag along with Percival. Like, if Jim doesn't tag along, his entire plan is ruined. His entire plan gets ruined anyways. But it just doesn't seem like a very good plan, because it hinges on Percival bringing along Jim. And Hal has no clue that that's going to happen. He has no clue that that's going to happen. He has no clue that he barely knows them, especially Percival. So it just seems like something maybe the writers didn't think about. Perhaps. Anyways, let's continue the story. So, Hal, I keep forgetting his name. I keep trying to say Percival, but Percival is the super cop guy who is really annoying. Anyways, Hal wakes up Clarice and hypnotizes her into marrying him, leaving the machine. He leaves behind a color machine, and it shows colors that are supposed to drive Jim mad. They're going to loop on repeat, and they'll eventually drive Jim mad, and they make him immobile, too. The colors do not affect Jim's mobility, but they do, for some reason, make him unable to become the Spectre, even though we've set a precedent of the colors not affecting him because he's the Spectre. We've set that precedent, but now, for some reason, they affect him, but only a little bit. Not fully affect him, but just enough to make him not be able to turn into the Spectre. But it doesn't matter anyways, because he scoots his chair and uses his chin to press the button on the machine, which turns it off, and then he turns into the Spectre. The Spectre unhypnotizes Clarice, defeats Hal, and saves the day. Also, turns out there's a little gag at the end of the comic. Percival's audition tape was used to dub over a squirrel in an animation. It was not a squirrel, it was a skunk. I don't know, my notes say squirrel, but I remember it very specifically, it was a skunk. And Percival was very upset by that. Also, in the movie, Clarice asks a question to Jim, and she's like, I wonder if they'll show the Superman cartoon. And I think that's pretty cinema. I think that's pretty cool that they mentioned that, because that's their comic. It was written by DC. That's their comic that they're mentioning. I mean, their cartoon, right? So, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Superman. Speaking of Superman, no, just kidding. This is Sensation Comics number 6, so this is Wonder Woman. This is Wonder Woman, folks. The GOAT. Also, big introduction here. Huge stuff happening here. Oh, I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, because there's 2 important things introduced in these comics, in these 10 comics, and I don't know which one to pick. Probably going to pick this one that I'm about to talk about. Anyways, the Colonel of the Army goes away, leaving Steve to do his job for 2 weeks. So Steve is basically the temporary colonel. Diana is given 2 weeks vacation because the colonel's gone. She's the colonel's secretary. So she wants to help Steve, but doesn't know how. And Steve has received threats from some German baroness. And Diana doesn't know how to help him with that, because he laughed off the threats and she doesn't know what to do. Her mother contacts her from Paradise Island, inviting her to come back temporarily, because she's, like, not allowed to come to Paradise Island ever, but the gods are letting her do it this once, because she left, right? So she's not allowed to come back. Anyways, she returns, and when she wins, like, a tournament while masked, kind of reminiscent of how she escaped the island in the first place. Not escaped, because it's not like, you know, they were holding her captive, but you know what I mean. Well, they kind of were holding her captive, but not really. Like, you know what I mean, right? She won so that she could be chosen as the hero to go help Steve, and that's where she got off the island. And now she came back to the island, and she did it again. She won the tournament again, masked. Anyways, when she wins, her mother's very proud of her and makes her a lasso and has her girdle. She has like a girdle that is made of invincible metal, and it makes the Amazons invincible. And she has it melted down and made into a lasso. And Diana is gifted this lasso made of unbreakable metal. The lasso doesn't make people tell the truth, however. It's not the lasso of truth. It is the lasso of truth, but it's not the lasso of truth. Because this lasso makes them obey whatever she tells them to do, which is so much better than the lasso of truth. So much better. She does I hope she does some cool stuff with it in the future. I don't know yet. But she does okay, there's this one Amazon who wants to leave Paradise Island, but if you leave Paradise Island, you can't come back. So Diana's like, hey, you can't do that. And the other one's like, I'm going to follow you on my jet plane, you can't stop me. So Diana puts the last surrender, is like, hey, you gotta stay here. And the Amazon's like, okay, I guess I gotta stay here. So that means the effects also last after the lasso is done being used, which is crazy. Crazy powerful. Also, Diana, I don't think you should be making these choices for her. I understand telling her, maybe like wait and think about it. Like, do you really want to make this decision? Like, this is a permanent decision. You cannot come back to Paradise Island if you leave. So you got to make sure you're absolutely certain. And I understand wanting her to not make that choice and wanting her to hold back, but you can't make that decision for her. And Diana basically made that decision for her, which I think is a little messed up, Diana. But you know what? I'm not an Amazon, so I don't know. I can't say. I don't get an opinion in this matter. Anyways, as Wonder Woman, she goes back to America, and she meets up with Steve Trevor, who explains a ship named the Gigantic has disappeared in the middle of the ocean. Turns out the German Baroness used an invisible ray to turn everyone on the ship invisible, including the ship, and then turn the ray off just in time for her Nazi buddies to arrive and take the American intelligence guy, because there was an important American intelligence guy on the ship. He knows a lot of American secrets. The Germans obviously want that, so they board the ship, and they try to steal him. Also, the Baroness... what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. There's, like, another ship that's taking care of the Gigantic that, like, leaves because of the invisible ray. I don't know. I'm not sure. But she basically hides the invisible ray so that the Americans can't find it until she turns it off just in time for her people to arrive. Basically making an impossible situation where it's invisible and it's visible, but it's too late when it's visible. Anyways, Wonder Woman takes Steve in her jet plane, and they two arrive just in time to have Steve go on the ship and knock out all the Nazis, and Wonder Woman go underwater and stop the torpedo. And then they defeat the Germans and save the day. Woohoo! Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Now, Superman number 16. This is our first Superman comic out today, actually, because there's two. There was two. And they are back to back, so let's get through this one quickly. Mr. Sinister. Marvel villain, right? What if I told you he was in DC first? Someone named Mr. Sinister threatens to steal a building. That is how this issue starts off. Someone named Mr. Sinister threatens to steal a building. He threatens he will steal this apartment building, and the Daily Planet's like, oh my god, we gotta report on this. Clark's like, oh my god, I gotta stop this. He steals the building and asks for ransom. He wants to get paid. Superman is like, oh, he also appears with like a big projection ghost thing. And Superman's like, okay, I'm gonna stop it. And then he can't stop it because it's just a projection. It's not actually Mr. Sinister, but it looks like him. It looks exactly like him. Also, he never uses this projection power ever again, by the way. But I guess it makes sense considering what else, other things he can do. Maybe it makes sense. It's not really explained, though. Anyways, he does his projection thing. Superman can't beat it, so that scares the government even more. So they're like, okay, give him the money. So they give him the money, and he gives the building back. The next day, Superman turns out to be right. Superman said, hey, if you give in to his demands will just get bigger, and he'll keep doing this shit. Guess what? That happens the next day. His demands get even larger. And he steals a bank. And he's like, okay, give me what I want, or you don't get the bank back. So this time, Clark, Lois, and Perry White are like, hey, let's write a big article on this. Mr. Sinister, speaking out of nowhere. By the way, he speaks in rhymes all the time for some reason. It's not really explained. Well, I guess it's kind of explained why, but I feel like that's a throwaway moment. Anyways. They are kidnapped for writing about Mr. Sinister. They're kidnapped. And they are taking... The Daily Planet is teleported into the fourth dimension, which is also where the bank is, which suggests that's where the apartment was taken. That's where he is taking all those things. Mr. Sinister has figured out dimensional travel. He can bring things into the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is just kind of a place. Doesn't really explain what it is. By the way, not the first time the fourth dimension has appeared in a DC comic at all. There was a time travel plot with Slam Bradley and Shorty in the fourth dimension where they got sent far into the future. There was one with Batman and Robin, but I think that was a dream. But there was like elf people in the fourth dimension, and I guarantee those are not the only two either. They love the fourth dimension, man. They love the fourth dimension in DC Comics, brother. 1940s DC Comics especially. Anyways, as I was saying, they're captured. Clark is taken away from Perry and Lois. I'm not sure why. They don't really have a reason. They just kind of take him away on his own. He's strapped to a chair, and the thugs explain they're going to shoot him with a beam that will scatter him across dimensions. They turn on the beam, and he moves so fast. This is the probably biggest speed feat we've seen from 1940 Superman ever, so far. He moves so fast that he dodges the ray and hides away in a corner, and it looks like he got hit by the ray and exploded. But he didn't, because he just ran away. And then he turns into a Superman glow, so everyone thinks Clark is dead right now. Except Lois and Perry, because they're nowhere nearby. Meanwhile, Lois and Perry are strung up outside on crosses. A giant shadow creature appears to eat them, but Superman swoops in and starts fighting the giant creature. But before he can defeat the giant shadow creature, Mr. Sinister appears with a force beam. I don't know what a force beam is. It's a beam of force that's supposed to kill things in one shot, I guess. So Sinister shoots the beam at Superman. Superman dodges. It kills the Shadow Beast. Then Sinister shoots again. This time it hits Superman. It just paralyzes him for a bit. And then he prepares to Mr. Sinister prepares to transport all of Metropolis to the fourth dimension. And it's like, he's doing it so he has more power against the nation of the United States. Right? That's his plan. If he transports an entire city, an entire city, then the United States will be frightened into complying. But also, it's just like, why? Like, why, man? Like, I get it. Like, I get your plan. But also, while the bank is in his territory, he just takes the money out of it. Because it's easy. He can't get stopped. He's in the fourth dimension. Just bring every bank in the world to the fourth dimension. Take all the money out of them. Return them. Literally nobody can stop you. Oh my god, I didn't even realize this while reading it. You're so stupid, dude. You're so dumb. Why would you not just do that? What world would you not just do that? That's what you're doing anyways, basically. You're just going about it in such a... You want money. You want money. That's what the ransoms are for. That's what the ransoms... You just want money. So just do what you did with the first bank. Just do that over and over again with different banks. It's so easy. It's so easy. I'm assuming you decide the dimensions of the target, too, by the way, because you can teleport a bank and an apartment building and a big news building. Which means, surely, you could just, like, teleport all the money in the world directly? Like, I feel like this is such an absurdly good thing to have, and he's just using it so stupidly. But I digress. You know what? I don't have fourth dimension powers. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, where was I? The force beam only works on Superman temporarily, so he breaks out of the paralysis and chases after Mr. Sinister before he can teleport all of Metropolis. They chase each other through dimensions. It's pretty cool paneling. And it's not cool paneling. It's cool art, right? It has them stretching thin, it has them going wide, it has them going thick. It's very cool. That's 3 panels. It's not that cool. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's alright. It just makes them long and wide, pretty much. Which is cool. It's cool for the 1940s, is what I'm getting at. Anyways, they return to the fourth dimension, and Superman knocks the force gun out of Sinister's hand just as he presses the trigger. The gun spins around, and the beam hits Mr. Sinister, reducing him to just a shadow. The Daily Planet building is returned to Earth, and Lois submits the story first. And that is Superman number 16, which brings us to World the Finest number 6. And this is an important one, folks. This is the one I was talking about where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make the video about the Lasso of Truth or this character that it gets introduced here. I really don't know. I still don't know. I'm going to have to do an A/B test probably. World's Finest number 6. Issue starts off. Superman is spotted stealing train cars. Clark and Lois are sent to report on it, but Clark stays back so he can become Superman and investigate. When he arrives at the crime scene, the security guards attack him because they really believe it was him. Which is a little confusing to me considering who it gets revealed to be, but I guess they just have really bad eyes. Back at the Daily Planet, Jimmy Olsen tells Clark he spotted a circus that seems to be run by a bunch of mean-looking thugs. This isn't important right now, but it does get important later on in the story. Clark hears on the radio about Superman trying to steal more stuff from like a dock. So he puts on his Superman clothes, flies to the scene, and it turns out the fake one is some guy in a metal suit calling himself Metallo. That's right. This is what Metallo looks like back in the 1940s. Honestly, I don't hate it, really. It's not bad for an original design, right? It's just a guy in a metal suit, man. It's just a guy in a metal suit with a cape. Which is why it's so confusing to me as to how people thought he was Superman. Like, I get it if you're seeing him from far away and you're only seeing the shadow, but that's clearly not what the security guards thought. Also, these people in the back thought it was Superman. They can very clearly see him so clearly. They can see him so clearly. What were they thinking? Are they thinking Superman's just wearing a metal suit now? Really? They thought that? Is that what they thought? Or did the author of the 1940s comic not think that deep? Probably the latter. I'll be honest. Anyways, The two fight, and Metallo escapes using a torpedo. He throws a torpedo at Clark, and it disorients him just long enough for Metallo to escape. Also, Metallo can swim. He's just in the water swimming, but he's made out of metal. So, okay. He's wearing a suit of armor. Okay, whatever. Later, Clark and Lois go to investigate the circus, but are denied entry by some of the workers. Lois decides to sneak in and investigate on her own, but is captured. Meanwhile, Clark is sent by the city to give Metallo's goons the ransom money they're asking for. Why is Clark always delivering the ransom? He did this in Superman number 16 also, even though I didn't mention he delivered the ransom. No, he didn't. He just watched the guy delivering them. There's so much ransoms. They do ransoms too much. There's too many ransoms. I get they want money. There's just better ways to do it. Anyways, after giving them the money, Clark becomes Superman and follows them. And he discovers their secret lair under the circus. Yes, Metallo's thugs are the circus guys. And he defeats the thugs, but Metallo escapes with Lois in hand. For some reason, Metallo reveals his identity to Lois. This isn't an important moment at all. His identity isn't anyone important. It's not someone we know. It's not someone who's even introduced in the story. It's just a random guy that we've never seen before. And I don't know why he's revealing himself to Lois. It doesn't make any sense. He has no reason to do this. He is not interested in Lois. I don't even know why he kidnapped her. For fun, I guess. Oh, it was because she had the story on him. So he was probably planning to kill her. But there's no reason to reveal her. Whatever. Anyways, he's just some random scientist that discovered a strength serum and a strong metal alloy suit. That's all he is. It's just a metal suit and he has a strength serum. Which, how you swim in the metal suit, man? It's a metal suit. How are you swimming in it? I guess it's a really light metal alloy. Okay. Guess that's what we're doing. Anyways, Superman arrives, they fight. Metallo loses, obviously, falling down a steep cliff, but catches onto a rock and secretly survives. Superman saves the day for now, and that does mark the final comic, so I will tell you, all 10 comics are read today. Obviously, I did not talk about every comic, but I do want to mention them. More Fun Comics number 80. National Comics number 23. Sensation Comics number 6. Spy Smasher number 5. Star-Spangled Comics number 19. Superman number 16. Uncle Sam Quarterly number 3, Whiz Comics number 31, Wonder Woman number 1, World's Finest number 6. And that is the 10 comics by today. So, thank you all for watching. Goodbye. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!